Hello everyone, welcome to Full Moon Movies. There are certain sequels that don't try to outdo the original in scale, but instead try to change the meaning of survival itself. Greenland 2 Migration is one of those films. Now, before I go further, I have previously done the first sequel of this movie, Greenland, and if you want to watch that, please click the link at the end of this video. And also, please help me grow Full Moon Movies channel by subscribing to the channel and clicking the bell icon. Now, this will really help the channel to reach a wider audience. I really appreciate your effort and thank you. So now let's get back to the review. Where the first Greenland released in 2020 was about escaping extinction, this sequel asks a very different question. What happens after you survive? Directed by Rick Roman Vogue, the film brings back Gerard Butler and Morena Baccarin, continuing the story of the Garrity family in a world that has already been destroyed. The film opens 5 years after the comet impact, and immediately you can feel the tonal shift. This is no longer a disaster movie in the traditional sense. The world is already broken, civilization has collapsed, and what remains is unstable. Earthquakes, electromagnetic storms, radiation, and fragmented societies trying to rebuild. What stands out early is how the film trades spectacle for atmosphere and survival tension. The Garrity family, once fighting to reach safety, are now living in a bunker near Greenland. But even that sense of safety is just temporary. When the bunker collapses and a tsunami wipes out much of the remaining survivors, the film quickly reminds us that survival is still fragile. From here, the movie shifts into something closer to a post-apocalyptic journey film. The Garritys move across ruined landscapes, from Greenland to Liverpool, then to London, and eventually towards France, chasing rumors of a place where the earth has begun to heal. Now, at this is where the film becomes interesting. Instead of focusing purely on destruction, migration focuses on hope, movement, and rebuilding. Now, that idea of migration is not just physical, it's emotional. The characters are moving from fear towards something uncertain but necessary. Gerard Butler's performance carries much of the emotional weight. In the first film, he was a man trying to hold his family together under pressure. Now, in this sequel, he becomes something else, a father facing the reality that he may not survive long enough to see the new world that his family is searching for. His character is dealing with radiation sickness, and that adds a quiet urgency to his journey. What Butler does well here is restraint. He doesn't overplay the emotion. Instead, he allows the situation to speak for itself. His character knows his time is limited, but he keeps moving forward, not for himself, but for his family. Morena Baccarin's role is also more defined in this film. She is no longer just reacting to events. She becomes a leader figure, someone who helps to guide the family through uncertainty. Meanwhile, their son Nathan, now older, represents the future, the generation that will inherit whatever world is left. Now, that journey itself is filled with moments of tension, though very different from the first film. There are gunfights, ambushes, and survival conflicts with other groups. One key moment involves a chaotic shootout as survivors try to force their way into a bunker, highlighting how desperation can quickly turn into violence. The action sequences are present, but they are more grounded. Unlike the first film, which featured large-scale comet destruction, the action here is human-driven, such as bandits, survival conflicts, and environmental hazards. There are still visually striking moments, like the bunker collapse and tsunami, but overall the film leans more towards tension rather than spectacle. This is where the film may divide audiences. Now, if you go in expecting the same level of stunning nature disasters as the first film, you might feel that Migration pulls back a bit significantly. The disasters are still there, earthquakes, storms, unstable terrains, but they are less frequent and less visually dominant. Instead, the film invests more in emotional storytelling and character progression. One of the most powerful stretches of the film comes near the end. When the Garrity family finally reaches the crater region in France, what they find is unexpected, not destruction but renewal. Fertile land, clear skies, and signs that the earth is beginning to recover. Now, this moment changes the entire meaning of the film. It's no longer about escaping death, it's about finding a place to begin again. However, the film doesn't give this moment without cost. John's journey ends just as they reach safely, reinforcing the idea that survival often comes with sacrifice. Now look at how Greenland 2, the migration movie, fares compared to the first film. The differences are really very clear. The original Greenland was driven by urgency, chaos, and large-scale destruction. It kept the audiences on edge with intense disaster sequences and a constant sense of imminent danger. Migration, on the other hand, is quieter and more reflective. It focuses on what comes after the disaster rather than the disaster itself. Now, critically, the film received mixed reviews, with some praising its emotional focus and character development, while others felt it lacked the intensity and human drama that made the first film compelling. Now, in terms of box office performance, the film struggled significantly. It grossed around 44 million worldwide against a 90 million budget, making it clear box office failure. Now, compared to the first film, which gained attention for its grounded disaster storytelling, the sequel feels more like a transition film, one that bridges destruction and rebuilding rather than delivering high-intensity spectacle. The biggest takeaway from Greenland 2 Migration is its message: survival is not the end goal. Now, it's only the beginning. The real challenge is what really comes next, how people really rebuild themselves, how they reconnect, and how they create meaning in a world that has already been lost. In conclusion, this movie may not really deliver the same level of stunning natural disasters as its predecessor, but it really offers something different, a more emotional, reflective, and human continuation of the story. Now, this movie is a must-watch.